Hello viewers, I am going to discuss clause. What is a clause? A clause is a group of words which has a subject and a predicate. A clause is a part of sentence which contains subject and finite verb or predicate. I shall illustrate it with a suitable example. If I say, I saw a man who was crying on the road. In this sentence, I saw a man is a principal clause because it is independent clause. It does not depend upon any other clause. Who was crying on the road is a dependent clause. It is called subordinate clause. So, it can be said that this sentence contains two clauses, principal clause and subordinate clause. So, this is what we mean by clause. Now, there are three kinds of clauses. First is principal clause. Principal clause or main clause is the clause that is independent, that does not depend upon any other clause. It is a complete sentence in itself. It carries complete sense. So this is called principal clause or main clause. Example, he said that he was going to Kolkata today. In this sentence, he said is principal clause. This is independent clause. So this is main clause, principal clause. That he was going to Kolkata, this is a subordinate clause. This is dependent clause because that he was going to Kolkata does not make a complete sense. It depends upon the principal clause for the completeness of this sense. So, it can be said that he said is principal clause, that he was going to Kolkata is a subordinate clause. The second kind of clause is subordinate clause. A subordinate clause is a clause that depends upon the principal clause for completeness of its sense. It is not complete alone. So it is called subordinate clause or dependent clause also. Let me illustrate it with a suitable example. I saw a man who was dashed on the road. Here, who was dashed on the road is not complete in itself. It is not complete alone. So it is subordinate clause. It is dependent clause. Now, let me explain the third clause, that is co-ordinate clause. A co-ordinate clause is a clause that is also an independent clause like principal clause. But the difference between the principal clause and the coordinate clause is that principal clause has no connective, whereas a coordinate clause begins with a coordinating conjunction that I talked about in my previous video when I discussed coordinating conjunctions. Now let me illustrate it with example. Sita is rich, but she is not happy. Here, Sita is rich is principal clause because it is independent, and but she is not happy is also an independent clause, but it begins with a coordinating connective but if we remove the connective but, both the sentences become independent, or both the clauses become independent. Sita is rich, independent clause, but she is not happy. Sita is rich, she is not happy. Both are independent clauses. So this is called coordinate clause. Now let me talk about the kinds of subordinate clause. Subordinate clause is of three kinds, or there are three kinds of subordinate clause. Number one, noun subordinate clause. Number two, adjective subordinate clause. Number three, adverbial subordinate clause. Now, what is a noun subordinate clause? A noun subordinate clause is a clause which functions as a noun in a sentence. Example: what he said is useful. Here, what he said is a noun clause because this clause functions as subject to the verb is in the principal clause. So this is an example of subordinate noun clause. Subordinate adjective clause. The man who is knocking at the door may be a neighbor. Here, subordinate adjective clause functions as an adjective. It qualifies a noun or pronoun like an adjective. Example: the man who is knocking at the door is my neighbor. Here, the man is my neighbor is principal clause. Who is knocking at the door is a subordinate adjective clause because it qualifies the noun, the man, in the principal clause. So, this is example of subordinate adjective clause. Subordinate adverbial clause. Subordinate adverbial clause is that clause which functions as an adverb in a sentence. Example: when the teacher came to the class, the students stood up in his respect. Here, the student stood up in the class is a principal clause, and when the teacher came to the class is a subordinate adverbial clause showing time. To conclude, these are the three important clauses: principal clause, subordinate clause, and coordinate clause. Students, learners must know about them. Thanks a lot.